The number one lesson that I've learned these last 10 years in tech sales, in selling to some of the largest accounts in the world, to some of the smaller organizations that are looking to procure software, is merely being able to understand who is the economic buyer. You'll hear that term a lot. You'll hear that come up in interviews. You'll hear that come up in internal meetings at your organization when you start out in tech sales. This is the person that owns the budget. This is the person that essentially signs off on any type of deal, whether it's $50,000, sometimes $75,000 and up. That's the person who signs the check on behalf of the organization and gives the final say. These past few weeks have been pretty challenging. I've had a couple pitfalls in some of the larger accounts that I've been trying to close. And some of the biggest lessons that I've learned through my losses is I didn't have a strong economic buyer. While I thought by getting the technical win was one thing, lo and behold, I remember this deal that fell through a couple years ago. I didn't understand who the economic buyer was. I did all this work in looking to understand that they have this specific technical problem, but I didn't understand essentially who was going to sign the check. I just took the technical buyer's word, and they told me that, oh, this deal will come in. This only has to get over Greg's approval. Once it's approved by Greg, everything should be smooth sailing. While that can work 8 out of 10 times, larger set deals, you need to be able to figure out, is that person going to be able to, one, speak on your behalf to the economic buyer, not the technical buyer, but will that technical buyer be able to sum up and summarize all of the things that you and the team have been working on? So this year, I'm doing a lot more planning. I'm getting some new accounts hopefully this year. And I wanted to let my viewers and clients that I'm helping out coaching and understanding this key lesson that while you are working to locate that technical problem within that account, you want to be able to understand first and foremost, who is the person that's ultimately going to sign off on this? Before you start anything, before you start any trial, before you even take, a second or third meeting, you need to understand who's going to essentially sign off on this, and do they understand how big of a problem you're trying to solve? The bigger problem that you're trying to solve, the bigger commission check you'll retire. But again, people only do work with who they trust. So having that technical buyer within that account, having a good relationship with them, being able to work in tandem with them in a partnership way of establishing all the goals that the business care about, essentially will lo and behold fall on that economic buyer's desk for them to give final approval. But it's also important, I've seen these key deals close before where you go in and you speak to not only the technical buyer, but you speak to the economic buyer, you speak to mid-level management, you speak to the SVPs on how a deal gets done. But that's one of my biggest takeaways, and probably one of the biggest coaching lessons I've had throughout my sales career is always understanding if you don't have an economic buyer, you most likely do not have a deal. So for all my sellers or people that are looking to break into tech sales, ultimately, in order for a deal to get done, always think of the EB and how instrumental they will be within your deal. Message and subscribe. Peace.